of consciousness, it will keep your energy and enthusiasm alive, as if you are conducting an experiment with yourself. And as you go deeper and deeper, more and more facets of consciousness will keep coming out. And that will become your own experiment and your own reward and your own pleasure and your own bliss. But the approach and the attitude that you should walk to it should be scientific. Blind faith has no value. Blind faith has no existence. But the approach that we should have is scientific approach. So, a lot of these things came from a book called Dancing Woolly Masters, written by Gary Zukav. Beautiful book. Wu Li, W-U, and another word is L-I. It's a Chinese word, and Gary Zukav is not necessarily a physicist, but he has interest in both physics and spirituality, and somewhere in between he's finding the continuum between the two. So he explains what Wu Li can mean. Wu is a Chinese word. It can go for matter or energy in Chinese language. Imagine Chinese language, such an ancient language, they did not see the difference between matter and energy. How enlightened people could have devised this language where, and just like our Indian language is Sanskrit also, one word could have so many different meanings. So Wu in Chinese language can be matter or energy. Interesting. And the Li, L-I, means universal order. But Li also could have a lot of meanings. So pattern or the organization. For example, if you see a structure of a wood panel, all the grains, how the grains look like. In a typical natural wood, it has its grain. The dance of that grain is called Li. Or if you look at a leaf, the texture of a leaf is called Li. So a softness of a petal of a flower can be Li. So basically, whatever is produced by the interactions of this so-called matter or so-called energy, because Wu can be matter or energy, final appearance is Li. So Wu, Li put together will be basically studying the organization of the organic energy that's around us. So in a way, organic energy is free-flowing, but it at some point gets organized to create the patterns, and that's what we call life. So Wu, Li put together also could have, imagine the permutation combination could have so many different meanings, because Wu itself has several meanings, Li also has several meanings. So one of the meaning in Taiwanese language is Wu Li means physics. Again, study of organic energy. So basic roots were still physics. So physics was looked at as more of a study of dance of life. How the life is dancing around us. So even in the ancient times, they realized that it is not just a physical dance, it's a dancing of the energy that's going around.
Engineering has taken birth from physics only.
Right.
The entire engineering.
And more interesting is that the study of this dance, the student is a part of that dance. That makes it very interesting. You're not just an observation. It's like we said in quantum physics. You are not the observer anymore. You are participator also. Whether we like it or not, believe it or not, or know it or not, you are there. Because your existence is changing the outcome. So Wu Li, if you really translate, it can mean so many things. And these are actual meanings in Chinese language. Can mean physics. It can mean patterns of organic energy. Another meaning is my way. Now, spiritually speaking, everybody can have their own way to the spirituality. Again, realize what, but then there are some other meanings also, nonsense. Now, you may think a crazy word, this is all nonsense. But if you really understand the true meaning of nonsense, where you stop your senses, something that is beyond your senses, is the spirit. But it is nonsense too. For somebody who believes in the senses, everything that you and I do spiritually is nonsense. Right? It's interesting. Another way is I clutch my ideas. That's the meaning of Wu Li. Again, I believe what I see. No matter how much you try to convince, if I go into meditation and if I have my own experience, you cannot change that. So I clutch to my ideas. Again, the same thing. And the last and interesting meaning of Wu Li is enlightenment. All this thing can mean enlightenment. So it's very interesting how the word Wu Li came about. So Gary Zukav was attending one conference where they are confluencing everybody, like a lot of physicists, and also they had invited a lot of spiritual masters, and one of them was Al Wang from Taiwan actually, and he was a Tai Chi master. So Gary Zukav ended up sitting next to him, and the conversation went in that he teaches Tai Chi, and Tai Chi is not really, is similar to yoga, but and it's almost the same thing as yoga, which is a study of flow of energy. So when we do yoga, if you look at it as a physical aspect, you haven't learned nothing. But when you close your eyes and you flow with the energy, that's the real yoga. Right, Lakshman? Doing physically, watching somebody and doing, as you have only scratched the surface. Similarly, Tai Chi, every motion of Tai Chi flows, blends into another one, and then another one. The pattern is created, and a dance is created. It's a beautiful rhythm of life rather than doing 1, 2, 3, 4, another 3, 4, 5, 6. It's not that simple. It's much more than that. So he is a Tai Chi master. And Tai Chi is an art of studying the energy, how the energy flows. If you concentrate on all the chakras that we call, it's basically the flow of energy. That's why we concentrate on in Surya Namaskar. So they call some Tai Chi masters, they call them Wu Li masters. Because Wu Li, again, is a study of energy, and these are the masters. So he asked, it was a very interesting answer. So Gary Zukav asked Al Wang that what makes a master? So Al Wang gives a beautiful answer. He says, somebody who started before you, that's all. I just started earlier, but you're going to be in the same place somewhere along the line, and you will become master like that.
Okay.
So there is no ego here. It's a continuum, but I just started earlier than you. So there is no ego attached to any of these things. So he explained how he conducts the Tai Chi classes that he teaches. He says that I look at the Tai Chi as a dance. And in Tai Chi, the teacher always stays in the center. And he does not teach anything, but students learn. He's not here to teach in the words, but his motions teach a lot. So it all depends what you get out of it is your ability to perceive. The more ability to perceive you have, the more you get out of. So the Tai Chi teacher, even though he does not teach, he becomes a teacher by the sharing the energy. So they dance with the rest of the students, where the dance is the participation. So he asked him, how do you teach, like sessions, one to the next, to the next? He says, I always have first session every time. He says, what do you mean? He says, you start all over again every time? He says, no. First session meaning that you don't forget what you learned in the last session. Because if that's the case, then the whole thing is useless. But you treat every session as a first session. Because that particular session that you're going to do, you're doing it for the first time. So for you, even though in the back of your mind you remember what you learned and all that, but same class that you're doing it, is you're doing it for the first time. So all of a sudden, the energy that is available to do something for the first time, the infinite consciousness is with you. So same thing translate into daily life. If every moment that comes in front of you, if we treat it as a first moment, imagine the power of energy and the zeal and enthusiasm that's available to you will be totally different. Then he says, same day again, the same patients again, or same thing again, it's so boring, it's so, it's tiring. So it takes the energy out of you, versus you creating your own energy by changing the focus of life. So that every session is a first session. So beautiful. I think with lack of time we should stop, since Deepak